I stared at my phone, reading the text from my mother for the 4th time. The words hadn't changed, but somehow, each reading made them more infuriating. We need $3,500 for Kevin's wedding. Wire it by Friday. Family helps family. 3 weeks ago, my daughter Emma had received the Student of the Year award at her elementary school. She was 7 years old, and it was the proudest moment of her young life. She'd worked so hard, staying up late to finish extra credit projects, reading books beyond her grade level, helping other students during lunch. When her principal called her name at the assembly, Emma's face lit up like the 4th of July. I'd invited everyone. My parents, both my brothers, Kevin and Matt, even my sister-in-law Jessica. I sent the invitation 6 weeks in advance. I called to remind them. I texted the week before. The day before, I confirmed one more time. Not a single person showed up. I sat in that auditorium, watching Emma scan the crowd, looking for her grandmother's face, looking for anyone from her family besides me. The other kids had grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins filling the seats. Emma had me, and an empty row of chairs beside us that might as well have been a canyon. After the ceremony, Emma held her certificate with both hands, still searching the parking lot. "Mom, do you think Grandma got lost? Should we wait?" I knelt down to her level, smoothing her hair back. "Grandma couldn't make it today, sweetheart, but I'm so proud of you. You worked so hard for this. Did I do something wrong?" Her voice was so small. "Is that why nobody came?" Something cracked inside my chest. "No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong. Not one single thing." That night, after Emma finally fell asleep clutching her certificate, I called my mother. She picked up on the 5th ring. "Jennifer, it's late. What is it? You missed Emma's award ceremony today." "Oh, that was today?" I had it on my calendar for next week. Must have written it down wrong. I'd sent her 3 reminders with the correct date. "What about Dad, Kevin, Matt, Jessica? Did all of you write it down wrong?" "Don't use that tone with me. We all have busy lives. Kevin's been stressed about wedding planning. Your father had a golf game. Matt had work." Emma asked if she did something wrong. She asked why nobody from her family loves her enough to show up. There was a pause. Then, "That's very dramatic, Jennifer. She's fine. Children are resilient. Speaking of Kevin's wedding, we need to discuss your contribution." I should have hung up right there. Instead, I said, "My contribution?" "Yes. Your father and I are covering the venue and catering. Matt and Jessica are paying for the bar. We need you to cover the photographer and videographer. It comes to about $3,500. Can you Venmo me by Friday?" The silence on my end must have been too long because she added, "Jennifer, are you there? Let me get this straight. None of you could spare 2 hours to watch Emma receive an award she earned through months of hard work. But you expect me to hand over $3,500 for Kevin's wedding, his second wedding, by the way, to a woman he's been dating for 8 months. That's different. Kevin's your brother. This is a major life event. So was Emma's ceremony. She's your granddaughter. Don't be selfish, Jennifer. Family helps family. You have a good job at the hospital. You can afford this." I could afford it. Barely. But that wasn't the point. I contributed $5,000 to Kevin's first wedding. That marriage lasted 16 months. This time is different. Chelsea is a lovely girl. Besides, you agreed to help with family expenses when you were younger. That was the arrangement. There it was. The arrangement. When I was 15, I'd overheard my parents talking in the kitchen. Kevin was struggling in college, failing classes, partying too much. They were paying for a tutor. When I asked how much it cost, my father said, "Don't worry about it. When you're older and successful, you'll help out too." That's what family does. I'd believed them. I'd gone to nursing school, worked my ass off, graduated top of my class. I'd given money for Kevin's car repairs, for Matt's business startup that failed after 6 months, for my parents' vacation to Hawaii, for Kevin's first wedding, which ended in disaster when he cheated on his wife with a woman he met at the gym. And now Chelsea, 23 years old, an Instagram influencer with 12,000 followers and no actual job. "Mom, I'm not sending money." "Excuse me?" "You heard me. I'm not paying for Kevin's wedding. Jennifer Marie, you listen to me." "No, you listen. You couldn't show up for Emma. The least you could do is not ask me for money in the same month." I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. I'd never said no to them before. Not once in my entire adult life. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls, 12 from my mother, 3 from my father, 2 from Kevin. There were also 8 text messages. Kevin's message was the worst. Seriously? You're going to ruin my wedding over some kid's school thing? Grow up. Some kid. My daughter. His niece. I blocked his number. My father's voicemail was more measured but equally manipulative. Jennifer, your mother is very upset. We raised you better than this. Call us back so we can discuss this like adults. I deleted it. My mother's messages escalated from guilt-tripping to outright hostility. The final one read, "Fine, be selfish, but don't come crying to us when you need help. You're on your own." I'd been on my own since Emma's father left when I was 6 months pregnant. I'd been on my own through every sleepless night, every emergency room visit, every parent-teacher conference. The difference was, now I was accepting it. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, thinking about what I wanted to do, about what would feel right, not just for me, but for Emma. Then I remembered something my best friend Destiny had said when I complained about family obligations last year. The best revenge is living well. But a little pettiness never hurt anyone either. I opened my laptop and went to a custom card website. I designed a simple wedding card with elegant script that read, "Congratulations on your special day." Inside, I wrote in my best handwriting, "Wishing you both a lifetime of happiness. May this marriage last longer than the time you spent with Emma. Warmest regards, Jennifer and Emma." Then I went to the bank and got a crisp $2 bill. I slipped it inside the card with a small note. "For the marriage license. Every bit helps." I mailed it the next day. The response was immediate and nuclear. My mother called from a blocked number. When I answered, she was screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "How dare you disrespect your brother like this? $2? Are you insane? I thought family helps family. I'm helping. This isn't funny, Jennifer. You're going to apologize, and you're going to send the full amount. I'm not doing either of those things. Then you're not welcome at the wedding." I wasn't planning on attending anyway. Emma and I have plans that day. What plans? We're going to the zoo. Then the art museum. Then maybe the science center. You know, places where people who love her might actually want to spend time with her. My mother's voice dropped to something cold and dangerous. "You're making a huge mistake. You're going to regret this." She hung up. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, I was at work in the pediatric ward, checking on a patient, when security called. "Miss Dawson? There's a situation in the main lobby. Your mother is here, and she's refusing to leave until she speaks with you." My stomach dropped. "I'll be right there." When I got to the lobby, my mother was standing near the information desk, her arms crossed, her face red with fury. Several staff members were watching nervously. "Mom, you need to leave. Not until you give me what I came for. You're going to wire that money right now, or I'm going to make a scene." "You're already making a scene. This is my workplace. You need to go." "I'm not going anywhere until you do the right thing." A security guard approached. "Ma'am, if you don't leave voluntarily, we'll have to escort you out." My mother's voice rose to a shriek. "She's stealing from her family. She owes us money. Someone needs to teach this ungrateful." "That's enough." The security supervisor, Marcus, stepped forward. He was 6'4" and built like a linebacker. "Ma'am, you need to leave immediately, or I'm calling the police." My mother looked at me with such hatred that I actually took a step back. "You're dead to me. You hear me? Dead." Then she turned and stormed out. I was shaking so badly that Marcus had to help me to a chair. "You okay, Jennifer?" "Yeah. Thanks for that. Your mom?" "Unfortunately." He nodded grimly. "Some families are like that. You need anything, you let me know. HR is going to want a statement about this." I went to HR during my lunch break and filed a formal complaint. They took it seriously, especially since my mother had caused a disturbance in a hospital. They added her to a list of people who were not allowed on the premises. If she comes back, the HR director said, "We'll have her arrested for trespassing. I'm sorry you're dealing with this." That evening, I picked up Emma from after-school care and took her to her favorite pizza place. She was chattering about her day, about the book she was reading, about her friend Maya who had a pet hamster. "Mom, can we get a hamster?" "Maybe for your birthday. We'll see." "When is Uncle Kevin's wedding?" I froze with my pizza slice halfway to my mouth. "How do you know about that?" "Grandma told me. She called me at school during lunch. She said you're being mean and won't help Uncle Kevin, and that's why we're not invited." My blood ran cold. "She called you at school?" Emma nodded, her eyes worried. She sounded really mad. She said, "You're selfish." "Are you selfish, Mom?" I put down my pizza and reached across the table for Emma's hand. "No, sweetheart. I'm not selfish. Grandma is upset because I told her I can't give her money right now, but that doesn't make me a bad person. She said we're not real family anymore." Something inside me snapped. It was one thing to come after me, but going after my daughter, calling her at school to poison her against me, that was the line. "Emma, honey, sometimes grown-ups have disagreements. Grandma said some things that aren't true because she's angry, but you and I are always going to be family. Always. No matter what anyone says. Even if Grandma says we're not, even then, Grandma is wrong." That night, after Emma went to bed, I called Destiny. She picked up on the first ring. "Girl, I heard about the $2 wedding gift. You're my hero. It gets worse." My mom showed up at the hospital today. Made a scene. Then she called Emma at school. She what? Called her during lunch to tell her I'm selfish and we're not family anymore. Destiny was silent for a moment. Then, "That's it. You're getting a restraining order." "I can't." "Yes, you can. She showed up at your work. She's harassing your daughter." "That's not normal family drama, Jen. That's abuse." "But she's my mother, and you're Emma's mother. Who are you protecting here?" The question hit me like a truck. Who was I protecting? Certainly not Emma. Certainly not myself. I was protecting people who didn't care about either of us, who saw us as ATMs and punching bags. "You're right. Damn straight I'm right. Call a lawyer tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm coming over. You shouldn't be alone right now." "I'm not alone. Emma's here. You know what I mean. I'm bringing wine and pad thai. Be there in 20. She hung up before I could argue. Destiny showed up with food, wine, and a box of legal documents she'd printed from the internet. Restraining order templates. "Read through these tonight. Tomorrow, we're finding you a lawyer." "I can't afford a lawyer." Marcus from hospital security recommended someone. Pro bono for hospital staff in harassment cases. "I already called. You have an appointment Thursday at 2. I stared at her. "You called a lawyer for me?" "Someone had to. You're too nice. You let people walk all over you because you're afraid of being mean. But there's a difference between being mean and having boundaries." She was right. I'd spent my entire life afraid of disappointing my family, of being the difficult one, the ungrateful one. And where had it gotten me? The lawyer, Catherine Rodriguez, was a sharp-dressed woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She listened to my story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, she looked up. "This is textbook harassment, possibly stalking. The school call alone is grounds for a protective order. Has she tried to contact you since the hospital incident?" 37 calls from different numbers. Text messages from my brothers telling me I'm ruining the family. My father sent an email saying I'm breaking my mother's heart. Save everything. Screenshots, voicemails, emails, everything. "We're going to file for a temporary protective order this week. Given the workplace incident and the contact with your minor child, I believe a judge will grant it." "What happens then?" "There will be a hearing in about 2 weeks. Your mother will have a chance to respond. But based on what you've told me, especially the school contact, I think we have a strong case for a permanent order." "What about my father? My brothers? If they continue harassing you on her behalf, we can add them to the order. But let's start with your mother and see what happens." The temporary protective order was granted within 48 hours. A sheriff's deputy served my mother the papers on Saturday morning. She responded by showing up at Emma's school on Monday. The principal called me immediately. "Miss Dawson, there's been an incident. Your mother attempted to check Emma out of school, claiming there was a family emergency. When we told her she wasn't on the approved list, she became combative. We've called the police." I left work immediately, my heart pounding. By the time I got to the school, 2 police officers were talking to my mother in the parking lot. Emma was safe in the principal's office, confused but unharmed. One of the officers, Officer Ramirez, pulled me aside. "Ma'am, are you Jennifer Dawson?" "Yes, that's my mother. There's a protective order. We're aware. She violated it by coming here. She's being arrested." I watched through the window as they put handcuffs on my mother. She was screaming about her rights, about how I was keeping her from her granddaughter, about how the system was corrupt. Emma tugged on my sleeve. "Mom, why is Grandma in trouble?" "Because she came here when she wasn't supposed to, sweetheart. Remember how we talked about boundaries? Grandma crossed a big one. Is she going to jail? For a little while, maybe. But she'll be okay. Emma thought about this. Then, I don't want to see her anymore. She scared me. My heart broke and healed at the same time. That's okay, baby. You don't have to see anyone you don't want to see. Officer Ramirez gave me his card. She'll likely be released on bail tonight or tomorrow. But this violation strengthens your case significantly. Make sure your lawyer knows about this. Catherine was thrilled, if you could call it that. This is exactly what we needed. A judge will take this very seriously. She not only violated the order, but she did it at your daughter's school. That shows a pattern of escalation and a disregard for boundaries. The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, my father called from a restricted number. Jennifer, what have you done? Your mother is devastated. She spent the night in jail because of you. She spent the night in jail because she violated a court order. This is insane. All of this over money? Over some wedding contribution? This isn't about money, Dad. This is about you and Mom treating me and Emma like we don't matter. This is about her showing up at my work and calling Emma at school to tell her we're not family. She was upset. People say things when they're upset. Normal upset doesn't include harassing your grandchild. She just wanted to see Emma. Then she should have followed the rules. She could have asked to visit Emma through the proper channels. Instead, she tried to take her from school without permission. You're tearing this family apart. No, Dad. I'm protecting my daughter. There's a difference. He hung up. The day of the hearing arrived. I wore my best professional outfit, the navy suit I usually saved for job interviews. Catherine met me outside the courtroom. Remember, stay calm. Answer questions directly. Don't let them bait you into emotional responses. My mother arrived with her own lawyer, a middle-aged man in an expensive suit. She looked smaller somehow, older. Part of me felt guilty. The other part remembered Emma asking why nobody loved her enough to show up. The judge was a stern-looking woman in her 60s named Judge Patricia Morris. She reviewed the case file while we waited. Miss Dawson, she began, looking at me. Can you explain why you're seeking this protective order? I took a deep breath and laid it all out. The missed ceremony, the demand for money, the scene at my workplace, the call to Emma's school, the attempted pickup. My mother's lawyer interrupted several times, calling it family disagreements and blown out of proportion. But Judge Morris shut him down. Counselor, showing up at someone's workplace and refusing to leave isn't a disagreement. It's harassment. Attempting to remove a child from school without authorization isn't a family matter. It's a safety issue. She turned to my mother. Mrs. Dawson, do you understand that you violated a court order by going to that school? My mother's chin lifted defiantly. I have a right to see my granddaughter. No, ma'am, you don't. Not when there's a protective order in place. You could have filed a petition for grandparent visitation through the proper channels. Instead, you chose to violate a court order. That tells me you don't respect legal boundaries. She's keeping Emma from me. Jennifer is poisoning her against the family. Judge Morris held up a hand. I've read the school incident report. Your granddaughter told the principal she was afraid of you. That's not parental alienation. That's a child expressing legitimate fear. The hearing lasted 2 hours. In the end, Judge Morris granted a permanent protective order. My mother was forbidden from contacting me or Emma directly or through third parties. She couldn't come within 500 feet of my home, Emma's school, or my workplace. However, the judge added, if Mrs. Dawson wants to petition for supervised visitation with her granddaughter, she may do so through the family court, but that would require anger management classes and a psychological evaluation first. My mother stood up, her face purple with rage. This is ridiculous. She's my daughter. Mrs. Dawson, sit down. I'm not finished. Judge Morris looked at both of us. I'm also ordering Mrs. Dawson to pay Miss Dawson's legal fees. The total comes to $2,200. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the room. The exact amount she'd wanted for the wedding. Catherine squeezed my arm. That's rare. The judge is sending a message. After the hearing, my mother's lawyer stopped me in the hallway. Miss Dawson, my client would like to discuss a payment plan for the legal fees. She can mail a check. She has my address. She'd prefer to discuss this in person. That would violate the protective order. She can mail a check, or I can pursue garnishment. Those are the options. He nodded tightly and walked away. That evening, I took Emma to the zoo like I'd promised. We spent hours looking at the elephants, feeding the giraffes, watching the sea lions play. Emma laughed more than I'd heard her laugh in months. Mom, this is the best day ever. Yeah? Yeah. It's just us. Nobody's mad. Nobody's yelling. It's perfect. I hugged her tight, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo. It is perfect, isn't it? A week later, Kevin's wedding happened. I knew because Destiny sent me screenshots from Instagram. Chelsea's account was full of photos. The venue, the dress, the cake. It looked beautiful. There was one photo of my mother, standing stiffly in a rose-colored dress, her smile forced. The caption read, "So grateful for family who shows up. Number blessed, number family first." I deleted Instagram after that. The check from my mother arrived 3 weeks later. A money order for $2,200, no note, no apology. I deposited it and used part of it to take Emma to Disney World for her 8th birthday. Just the two of us, riding rides, eating ice cream, watching the fireworks over the castle. "Mom, can I tell you something?" Emma asked as we walked back to the hotel. "Always, sweetheart. I'm glad it's just us. Is that bad?" "No, baby. That's not bad at all. I love you, Mom." "I love you too, Emma. More than anything in this world." 6 months later, Destiny and I were having coffee when she showed me her phone. "Did you see this?" It was a Facebook post from my brother Matt. "Sad to announce that Kevin and Chelsea have decided to part ways. Please respect their privacy during this difficult time." 4 months, Destiny said. The marriage lasted 4 months. I sipped my coffee. "I'm sure they'll blame me somehow." "Let them. You're living your best life." And I was. Emma was thriving. My career was going well. I'd started therapy to work through the guilt and conditioning from my family. I was learning that boundaries weren't cruel, they were necessary. That protecting my child wasn't selfish, it was my job. Sometimes I still heard my mother's voice in my head. Family helps family. But I'd learned something important. Family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up, who celebrates your wins and supports you through losses, who sees your child as a person worth honoring, not an inconvenience. Emma and I had family. It just looked different than I'd expected, and that was more than enough.